In this week's episode, the Pauls forget to write an intro. Thing, the podcast that can never find its damn seat. I'm Paul Salt.
I'm immersive enough without 3D.
Yeah, you are. I don't need 4DX to enjoy the Paul Goodman experience.
You do need smell-o-vision, though.
Yeah. Otherwise, you're just not getting it.
Well, my musk is integral to my psyche, so to get the real Paul Wit deal, got to get that huff up.
Today, we shall be discussing cinema, or rather, the cinema.
Yeah.
Cinemas are large rooms filled with rows of seats that your parents used to go to make out, eat snacks, and also there might be a film on. It's kind of like your phone, but big and on a wall.
Go on.
You have me intrigued. In the 130 years odd since its inception, many have prophesied the death of cinema due to various inventions such as the television, videos, home theatre systems, satellite television, video games, electronic sex machines, and now streaming services.
And equality for women.
Yeah, everyone said, nope, can't do it. Can't make movies anymore.
Can't do it. We'd do it, said John Major, but, cinema.
And a very reasonable female critic just came on and said, well, couldn't a woman tie a man to a railway every now and then? Nope! What's she going to twirl? Her hair? Nonsense. However, in spite of this, theatre admissions in the UK have remained consistently above 150 million admissions a year since the year 2000. And the global box office also continues to grow, with 2017 being a new record year ever. And that's not just because of China, although apparently 26 new movie screens were erected in China every day of 2017, which is terrifying, but it's hard to say why.
Or I do believe that.
Oh, I believe it. It's just frightening, but I don't see why. I think just doing 26 of anything a day is upsetting.
Even for China.
If someone told me they ate 26 Tic Tacs a day, I wouldn't be happy about it.
You need to spend some time in the bathroom, looking in the mirror.
Looking at that guy. Who's he?
I spent many a time in an empty movie theatre in China, and maybe that's it. It's just individualism's finally coming to the fore in China. Away with collectivism, they say. Cinema for everyone.
If anything's going to do it, it'll be the power of Christopher Nolan. I mean, there's 50,000 cinemas in China now, which has now finally overtaken America as the most cinemaed nation. But what's the population now? 3 billion?
1.4-ish.
Oh, okay, so much less than I said. Oh, significant.
Yeah, but
1.4, so that divided by 500 million, it's, fine. 500,000, 50,000.
50,000.
50,
Excellent.
60, 70, gone. Let's do more numbers. I have energy for this. Anyway. We can do more numbers because 1/5 of the people in the UK go to the cinema once a month and a further 34% every few months. So, Paul, are you multiplex?
Yes.
Yes. Why bother? Why go to that cinema full of greasy floors and greasier people? Just stay home, right? Watch a pizza and eat a film.
You got to impress members of the opposite sex.
Oh, definitely.
So,
and you can only do that with a cinema trip. Hey, babe.
Yeah, the Wandsworth Cineworld.
Hey, do you want some revels? No. Put your money away. I've got this.
This is £7.
Actually, love, do you have some change?
Yeah. Oh God! I've got to pay for my travel card after this. You know how much that is.
I hate London.
A lot of money. God. Anyway, at least we're gonna go and watch a film and escape. Ant-Man and Wasp. God.
It's right. No, I'm so entertained. I think.
I think Paul Rudd's charming.
He didn't write these lines, did he? Let's go through problems first before we get on to the good stuff. Let's talk about the disincentives that are likely to keep you in that living room. First of all, you've touched on it already. All that money, all the greens.
Yeah.
The statistics show that 83% of those who earn above 75k annually go to cinema once a month.
Mm-hmm.
Now, that's compared to a national average of 22%, so that's insane. That's 4 times more.
Okay. Yeah.
88% of people earning that much, which implies to me that people want to go to the cinema. When they have the means, they go.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But The average cinema ticket costs between £7 to £10 in most of the UK, and in London, 15 to 20.
Gosh, yeah.
Yeah. How's it out there in the outback? Which I assume you're in.
Let's see. So I think it's about. I'm a member at Palace Cinemas, and that's about $15 a ticket. But at a Hoyt's, which is a sort of Cineworld type place, or maybe an Odeon, that's $20, $25, which depending on exchange rates, is anywhere between £1 million English pounds and a house. Yeah, it's around 10, 15 quid. Cost of living in Australia is quite high.
Yeah.
But then we also we don't have a Cineworld type deal.
Oh, really? It's just indies.
No, in that we don't have any sort of travel card.
Oh, I see. Right. Yes, because we should explain. In the UK, we have two services now: the Cineworld Unlimited card, and the Odeon Limitless card, which are completely different but the same.
Yeah.
And for that, you spend £20 a month, and you get to see as many films as you like. Literally unlimited.
Yeah,
you might say.
The View watch as many films as you like for just £20 a month card didn't go down quite so well. Bit mouthy.
Pay and watch all
the films.
All of them.
Honest.
Ant-Man and Wasp, The Meg, and it lists them. And when you buy the card, it's when you get the list.
It's a long list.
Irritating.
And it just gets bigger and bigger.
It's a big card.
Yeah.
It's a big card. It takes up a backpack.
A massive backpack, though.
It's like a skateboard. Oh dear, but you can skate it to the land of dreams.
I Timmer. Yeah, and so that's good. But in Australia, we don't have that. So going to the cinema is a thoroughly expensive vocation. It's much like, when people say, well, if you gave up coffee, how many coffees do you drink a week? You get 10 a week, 2 a day from the local Starbucks near work. If you give up coffee, you're going to save
a child
£60 a week, and then you better save for that house finally, eh? But in Australia, there's no help for that. You either spend, you pay through the arsehole and the nose and watch films, or you don't.
Yeah, so I mean, if I didn't have the unlimited card, it would be a problem. It would be a genuine thing that I just wouldn't be able to afford to get to the cinema when I need to.
Yeah.
Which would make being a film critic very difficult. I would depend upon press screenings, which are tricky to get into when you're small fry.
Well, lucky for you, Australia doesn't want you anyway, so
that's good.
You're yeah. But I mean, when I had the Melbourne International Film Festival ticket, we bought a pass that got me into 13 movies. And initially, it's an upfront cost, which Nell was kind enough to buy for my birthday.
Aww.
Thanks.
Lovely gift. I got you a clip round the ear.
Punch at the bracket is too good for you. Knowing, I could see 13 movies. It was already paid for. I went and saw 13 movies in the space of 2 weeks, and it was great.
Yeah.
But knowing that you have to spend, it's $50 every single time you want to go to the cinema, and that's not including all the Maltesers that I don't buy. It's sad. It's one of the only things that I struggle with here is not getting to the cinema as much as I'd like. That, and there's no ale.
No. Yeah,
but we'll do that in our one good thing about drinking culture in the UK.
Cut to Goodman just swimming back to the UK.
Pint of Bishop's Finger.
I've swum here from Australia.
Oh, sorry about that, sir. We're a craft beer country now.
No! Back to Australia. So you can definitely see why that would be a disincentive to people, because basically, for the price of not much more than one ticket, you can get a Netflix subscription.
Yeah.
So that's an issue. Second issue, getting to a cinema. For me, it's extraordinarily easy.
Yes.
I live in London. There are about 20 cinemas within an hour of me.
Yeah. Your house is a cinema? It's unregistered.
My house is a cinema. People, well, it's not registered, but people do show up. They buy tickets, and it's irritating because I have to do it all. And I'm often in my bathrobe.
Yeah. There's an income there, though, mate, so it's...
Oh, a lot of it goes to distributors, or the other way around. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, at least I'm told it does.
I don't really follow the maths. All I know is they give me a roll of polos a week.
Delicious polos. Life-giving polos. But yeah, no, I remember when we lived together, it was a really easy trip, even to central London, to go to a fancy cinema.
Yeah, definitely. But yes, that's the next thing I want to talk about is selection. And I did initially have some bad luck supporting this theory, because I looked at where a couple of our friends live. First of all, we both have a friend in Coventry. We have a Jen. We have a Jen in Coventry. So I had a look there, and she tells me there's just the one cinema really. There's a couple of others, but they're not accessible by public transport. But having a look at that cinema, I did still find Black Klansman, The Children Act, and Searching, which are the sort of big, not necessarily studio-backed, indie critical hits at the moment.
Okay.
The two big ones in London at the moment are The Cold War and my current favourite film of the year, American Animals. And Jen would struggle to see those. They're not in that local cinema. She'd have to go out of town. And I tried a few other places as well, and some of them had The Cold War. Some of them had American Animals. It's like, it's very different depending on where you are. But, I mean, in London, I don't want this to sound condescending, but I looked at one cinema, the Institute of Contemporary Arts, just had a look at what they're showing, and I found In Praise of Nothing, an offbeat, satirical, and beautifully shot film about nothing, in which Nothing, tired of being misunderstood, runs away from home and begins to reveal his thoughts on pretty much everything, including life, death, love, and politics. Shot over 8 years by 62 cinematographers in 70 countries, this essay film is narrated in verse by Iggy Pop. I didn't even hear about it. I didn't even know that existed, but I could go see it now if I wanted.
Yeah, this is the crucial difference. I think London has everything. London really has everything, and the selection at the London Film Festival beats every other film festival into submission because it takes all the best films from those film festivals.
Yeah, it's 200. Although actually, you had some Melbourne stuff that I haven't had a chance to see.
But it'll be coming, right?
I assume so at some stage. But yes, 252 films.
But Northampton has a good selection of stuff now. I remember.
Yes.
I remember about 10 years ago it being slightly different. It's slowly getting there. They've got a cultural quarter there now. There's a playhouse. It's marvellous. Yeah. There's a restaurant. There's an Italian restaurant. Frankie and Benny's.
What is this pizza?
What is this garlic bread? Oh, I'm like a comedian.
Oh, look at you.
Garlic bread.
Oh, you're gonna be a millionaire now.
Oh, give me a stage show, everyone. You can scratch the surface in Northampton, I think. But in London, Melbourne, to be fair, has I mean, it's sprawling with indie cinemas. Yeah. My closest cinemas are indie cinemas, and then we have a couple of chains as well. So it's really well supplied.
But there is the issue that the cinema that you can get to might not be the one that's showing the film that you want to see. And I have to acknowledge that being in big cities, we are spoiled for choice quite a bit.
Once you get there, to the cinema.
Once you get there, then you have to deal with cinema quality. Now, I've had some issues here. My biggest peeve at the moment is noise-bleed from other screens.
Oh, yeah.
It's really irritating, and especially since Climax comes out in 2 weeks, it's going to be unbearable to be anywhere.
In London. Don't. Stay away, everyone.
Get out.
Trevor McDonald's going to come back from retirement. And he'll be like, this is a special announcement for everybody in London. Go away. Stay out of it.
Somebody reviewed A Quiet Place, and A Quiet Place has been a wonderful film because everybody shares the same experience of going to see A Quiet Place at the cinema, which is that everybody shuts up. Because there's so much silence and so much tension that people cannot talk through it. But then, inevitably from next door, have you bought a load in the last few weeks? Maybe you should come to buy a load from us. We're the Lone Boys. And it's like,
What cinema was it that we went to a lot? Was it the West India Quay Cineworld where there was that car advert where they turn up the bass?
Yes! And that was awful.
There would always be... We'd be watching a nice, touching, sort of vulnerable masculinity film about crying men. And suddenly, all you'd hear was just...
It was a dad. It was a dad driving his daughter to school, and then he turns the bass up, and it was very specifically up. And
just clearly a bass line.
I remember it actually happened to me whilst I was seeing the film In Pursuit of Silence, a film about how important it is to appreciate good silence and quietness. So noise-bleed is an issue, but there've been lots of other technical issues I've had too. At one screening I went to, the bottom of the frame was appearing at the top of this picture. I don't even know how that happens.
And it wasn't a Guy Madden film either. So you knew it was wrong.
It was incredible that should happen. Elsewhere, I've had the film appear in a tiny box in the center of the screen. And when I went to tell a member of staff about it, the guy got into his radio and said, "Screen 3's doing that thing again." Have you ever had an out of focus or dim?
I've had sound issues.
Yeah.
And I've also had lighting issues that have distracted as well. That really, if the lights are left on.
Yeah, I've gone and asked about that.
Yeah, it's really frustrating.
Yeah. I've had blown speakers.
It seems like an innocuous thing, but it really, really messes with the total immersive experience. Is cinema.
Definitely, the lights need to go all the way down. I remember actually our friend Xavier telling me that in England he found that cinemas were less likely to do that than in France. In France, you would have pitch black, whereas in England, you've often got little lights on the aisles still on, just in case anybody wants to get up and use the men's room in the middle of Gaspar Noe's climax. You just need to go lie down, actually.
Well, just throw yourself down the stairs in that case.
I mean, some of this is down to the lack of a projectionist, because now that films are screened digitally rather than through film, there doesn't need to be someone up there at all times to swap the reels, make sure it's in focus, all of that stuff.
Are you saying that we're losing part of the art form?
A little bit. Because now just, Gavin, who does the popcorn, he just goes on and flicks a switch. And then
with a broom.
Yeah, and then he's got to move on to 27 other screens.
I haven't had a film cancelled for any of those reasons. I know you have.
Yes, I have. Me and Xavier went to go see that film that was written by the Coen brothers that was terrible. Gambit?
Yeah. I can't remember who's in it or who directed it.
No,
but
me and Xavier...
I know the one you mean.
We went to go see it, and there was a problem with the projector, so the guy came out and refunded us. We were like the only two people in the screen as well. And we very promptly went out and didn't use those tickets for Gambit, and I haven't seen it since.
I think other than that, the problems are very much human.
Yes, well, let's get on to people then. These are the worst things that people can do. First of all, talking or whispering loudly.
Yes.
I mean, I've had people who are just flat out talking to each other.
Yeah. I've had it occasionally where somebody's relaying the plot to the other person, and you have to think, well, oh, maybe they have a disability, so I shan't say anything.
Yeah,
because maybe that's what that is.
I never stop.
Sometimes
to think about
I don't think it is.
I have a hair trigger. If I just hear a noise, it's just shh.
Yeah, it's a really difficult one. Those times aside, fury is completely justified. You must remember my interaction with those delightful girls.
Oh
in
yes,
the showing of We Need to Talk About Kevin.
Yay!
They were laughing through the first few minutes of the film, a film which was clearly not a light-hearted romp through the question of murder of children.
My memory's slightly different. They showed up as the lights were coming down and when it was about to start, and they laughed through the first shot, which was of the curtains billowing. They had laughed as they entered and were continuing to laugh in their seats, and that was when the almighty hammer of Paul came down.
It was for a couple of minutes because the film started before, it had a sort of, I think it had a slow opening before that first shot. And I thought, okay, they're gonna stop talking and laughing soon.
Yeah,
it's gonna be okay.
That is just briefly one thing: is when do you start enforcing these rules that we're going to talk about? Is it during probably not during the trailers? Is it the production logo? I've had someone give me a sarky attitude because I shushed them at the production logo. No, my Katie shushed them at the production logo of Red Sparrow, and there was a bit of a all right. But when do you start treating everyone else with respect?
Yeah, I waited until we were about 30 seconds into the film proper before.
There was a shot, yeah. It was definitely the curtains.
Before going, will you shut up? At the back. And although their response of, you shut up, dickhead, was brilliant.
Oh, yeah.
Props to them.
And they stayed quiet. They
did actually
stay quiet through the film, and then on the way out, I heard them say, "Do you hear that bloke telling us to shut up?"
I put my coat over my head and wept and shook until those little girls left the cinema. But that's the only time that I've had real righteous anger. I think I've had other times where I've asked people to stop talking, but that was the only time where I've shouted across a very full cinema.
I usually shush, and it usually works. There was one time I went to see The Mercy this year, in fact, and there were two folk behind me who were muttering throughout, but they were old is the thing, so there's a hearing impairment potentially, which also might mean that they didn't hear my whistling, but also they were in the seats right behind me, and that's the worst place to have
it really travels.
Yeah, first of all, you're going to hear it, but secondly, their retribution will be completely unseen by me. These two old folk, if they suddenly decide to pour herbal tea all over my head. Nothing I can do about it.
And they would do it as well, old people.
They'll do it.
Oh,
Yeah,
God.
they've got nothing to lose. The next one's even harder to legislate against. It's laughing inappropriately.
Yes.
Now,
okay.
I was going through these rules with our friend Sarah, and she pointed out, can you really make fun of someone for laughing inappropriately? Because, like, isn't it just their laugh? Maybe they can't help it, and they're expressing themselves, and you're, encouraging them to not express themselves. But fortunately for us, I'm nowhere near as nice a person as Sarah is. Yeah. Screw those guys.
Yeah, no, I hate it. I mean, it really depends.
Yes, there are two types of inappropriate laughing. One is doing it at the wrong time, and two is having a really distracting laugh. And distracting laugh, maybe that's subjective, and it's us, and it's,
Yeah.
But laughing at the wrong time in really bad moments, that's really distracting and awful.
Yeah, the horrific murder scene in Legend, the dentist trying to force himself on Kate Blanchett in Blue Jasmine.
The rape sequence in Tyrannosaur. Remember that?
That's the one. Yep. Kylo Ren saying "you're nothing" to Rey. Hilarious.
I think it was just
classic.
I might be able to see that because it's just nothing. It's like you're garbage. It's kind of a blunt thing. I know
emotional moment.
I know it was, but maybe someone found the phrasing funny.
Sometimes it could be nervous laughter and things like that especially for Legend, because that was tense. But sometimes when it happens, it really does take you out of the film, and you do look at the back of their head and go, die.
If they're behind me, I think I overestimate the power of a slight head turn. Because my glasses are such that I really won't be able to see the person's reaction unless I turn all of the way. So I like to think that me just gradually turning a little bit so they can see just the side of my face is the most menacing thing that they could possibly hope to encounter. Look at his cheek.
God, he's talking, Dave. Oh, Barry, he's done it again. It also ruined the time we went to see Face Off at the Prince Charles.
Oh, really?
Stop. Well, it was just too much laughing.
Yeah.
There are some really funny moments, but there were some sweet moments that weren't funny. And I mean, that's the Prince Charles crowd is the thing. They're a bit feral at times.
Yeah. We'll come on to them. But yes.
Oh, we'll get there.
We'll get to those guys. Sometimes you get the sort of drama school style laughing, which is when they laugh because they know something is meant to be funny. And like The Thing happened. Everybody knows the computers are out of date in The Thing. You can't type a question. Although you can now. I could type into Google what would the population spread be, and it would answer me. But this is a big funny joke back in circa 2010 that the computers don't work like that. But Blair, Wilford Brimley, is typing questions into his computer and it's answering him. But yeah, the people in the Prince Charles audience just going, ah!
Yeah.
So naive.
They come there with their sack of movie props to figure out which one to swing around for this particular one, and then I don't know. I'm not a big fan of that crowd.
I've had good experiences with them. I saw some. It depends what you go to see. I think if you're going to go see a Tarkovsky film, you'll probably be okay and free from inappropriate laughing. If you go and see an Arnie all-nighter, someone's going to get ejected forcibly.
Was that when we went to see Enter the Void, and
Upstairs,
guy was just screaming? A guy was screaming at a homeless person outside.
Really?
Because somebody came up. Maybe it wasn't you, but
I went
not
to
that you were the person
you.
screaming at them. But you might have gone away to get a cookie or something. But it was horrible to watch.
Right.
This homeless person was asking for change, and this guy, you know the type. It was like bearded, glasses, long hair,
right?
Not in the best shape.
Yeah.
It was a film fan, and he, film fans.
Sounds like a great guy.
But he just turned around and started going, in her face. And everyone was feeling really bad just watching him do this. And this homeless person's mate came up and went, sorry mate, what the fuck are you doing?
Yeah.
And he went, oh, sorry. He went, yeah.
What's
and
that?
And they walked off. What a horrible person.
Yeah, Jesus. And then he came into the Prince Charles, did he?
Yeah. He was allowed in there.
Oh, God. I mean, there were some lovely people at the Prince Charles, and I've had some very positive
really
experiences, as we'll get to in our top 5 cinema experiences. But yes, I have noticed a rowdy element. I mean, I remember when I went to go see a film. What was I seeing? I was seeing Battle Royale, and a woman had come along to talk to us about it. She was an academic of some sort. And when it came to questions, some bloke with his mates put his hand up and said, "Are you related to Susan Boyle?" And it's like, die immediately. What? die instantly. You
Well, because
waste...
of how she looked?
Yeah.
Did people shout at him?
Yeah, people like booed and sighed. She had like a quite funny response to it, but
Yeah.
just I don't want to enjoy a film with you. Film is a communal experience, and I don't want you part of it. You are poison.
God.
Leave.
Get bent, you scum.
Some people are just rancid on the inside. That's an important thing to
Yeah.
note. And a lot of them go to the Prince Charles Cinema, so...
Yeah.
It's a cinema
Great.
for people who hate film. It's not. I'm sorry.
No, it's a great cinema. It's a wonderful job they're doing.
Yes, it is. It's the shame about the people. Anyway, I think they're clamping down. They have adverts now, and at the beginning of the film, they put a sign up that actually says no inappropriate cackling. So I think they're aware. But
That's
look,
good.
We do have to address the elephant in the room. The woman who was ejected from the BFI for laughing too much at The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly.
Yeah.
We don't know the full story there. She was a disabled woman. We don't know the full story. It seems remarkable to me that they would have ejected her for just laughing, seeing as I've seen films at the BFI and know that some pretty crazy laughs get gotten away with there. But in any case, regardless, it's obvious that they didn't communicate properly with her, and it escalated in a way that it definitely shouldn't have.
Yeah.
Full sympathies towards the person it happened to. But there's that. So there's a degree of understanding, and I think the way in which you deal with these problems is important. As angry as you feel, it's important to note. I think one thing that's really important to note is that the person might not be doing it to piss you off.
Yeah.
Always a possibility.
I think that's a good rule for most of life, is that it's usually not personal.
Yeah. They don't know.
It always feels
like
personal. Yeah.
It does. It feels like, ha ha ha. Let's get the rest of these rules out before we get too much into it. Next one, kicking, squirming, jiggling.
Fidgeting. Yeah, I flout this often. I terribly fidgety, anxious person, and Nell hates it. I think Nell just doesn't go to the cinema anymore because of me. But she does, but I can feel her
doesn't
hating
sit
me.
with you.
Yeah. But there's also the guy with the straw in Assassin's Creed, that kind of thing as well. Unnecessary.
Yes, that was awful.
Blowing on a straw when you're trying to watch a terrible film.
I had a guy in Persona yesterday who was drinking. I mean, we'll come back to him because he exhibits another one of these awful traits later. But he was tapping on the side of his glass during Persona, and it's just like, can you hear that?
Yeah.
Can you hear the sound if you just? That's not making a sound. But can you hear that, mate? But it's really weird because it's such a small and intimate thing that he was doing, just a tiny tapping on the side of his glass. It felt really weird for me to turn over and say, "Would you mind not doing that, mate?"
Yeah, if it's like you're saying, "Can you go home and die in a fire?" I hate everything about you.
It feels like me leaning over and saying, "What colour underwear are you wearing, mate?" Like, it's that level of intimacy. It's like a tiny thing. It's like, "Excuse me, mate, would you mind just straightening your tie a bit?" Like, it's that, but it's hard for me to articulate what you're doing is bothering me.
Well, that's the kind of thing that I feel like a loved one can say to you when you're jigging your leg or tapping the sofa, and they say, "Can you not do that anymore?" It kills me.
I feel like we'll get through this, even though I hate you now.
Personally, if somebody would have said that to me, once I finished stabbing them, I'd have apologised to the rest of the row. I would genuinely have said, "Oh God, I'm so sorry. I know I do that. I'm really sorry. I know I'm a terrible human." But I have noticed halfway through films when I've been doing it, and my mind wanders a lot, and I kind of go, "Oh, I'm shaking the row a lot. Oh God." And I stop and I look around just in case anyone's staring at me. But most people aren't because they're all terribly anxiously polite like we are.
Yeah, that's the horrible thing, isn't it? We can't communicate with each other, ever.
I was in one showing in Myth, and a guy had the balls to sort of call a woman out for checking her phone throughout the entire film, and she accused him of patriarchy.
Well, that's a novel approach. Most people do take it well, but I mean, the only time I can think of being reprimanded for what I was doing in a cinema is I went to see Alien 3, the David Fincher film, as part of the David Fincher season.
And the usher came in and went, "What are you all doing? You idiots!"
No! I was there with my friend Andy.
Yeah.
And there was one other guy in the cinema. I'm not kidding. He was 2 rows in front of us. And in the opening credit sequence, I leant over to whisper a joke to him. And the guy got up and walked to the other side of the cinema and sat down again. Which I love, because that's exactly how I would have reacted to us. But at the time, I was really, irritated. Like, I don't even think he is. Like, why shouldn't he be irritated?
Yeah. Yeah, the subjectivity, it makes it difficult. It certainly does. How are you with smelly food?
It doesn't bother me much. It bothered me this week when I went to go see Persona because the glass the guy was tapping on was a beer glass, and he had a big pint of beer, and it was a very stinky beer. It smelled like burps and vomit. I'm not a drinker, everyone.
Yeah.
All beer smells like burps to me. That's just how it smells. I've smelt it more coming out than I have it going in, and that's just how it feels to me.
Out on Kindle is Paul Salt's Big Book of Beery Burps. $29.99.
I genuinely felt like I was going to retch at times.
Wow,
it was really upsetting for me.
I think occasionally I find it unpleasant when somebody brings in their own horrible body odor. But as far as food goes, I'm also guilty of this. I've taken sushi, so I don't.
You've taken bottles of smoothies into places like jars, masonry jars.
Yep, I've done that. They just don't smell, I don't think. But I've brought in sushi. I brought in I mean, the nachos are pretty stinky, but everyone brings in the nachos and the fake cheese and the jalapenos.
I've never smelt nachos and thought, ugh. It's weird. I should have, because you're right. They are very full on. They've got cheese and jalapenos.
But everyone loves nachos. Is the thing?
Yeah, maybe that's it.
Who doesn't love nachos? Idiots.
This was the only time. This beer is the only time I can think of where a bad smell in a cinema has bothered me. Weirdly, if anyone ever brought an energy drink in, I'd leave because I hate the smell. Oh, okay, yes. Once there was I went to the it wasn't the Fright Fest. It was a horror festival at the Prince Charles in October. It was an all-nighter, and they had a promotional tie-in with Monster energy drink.
Ooh.
Which everyone proceeded to pick up the free samples of and spill all over every part of the carpet. As a laugh, I think.
Yay.
So yes, ever since then, I've had a very strong aversion to energy drinks. That was actually when it developed. Ever since then, like if my sister is drinking a Red Bull, which she sometimes does, I ask her to keep it away from me.
Right.
Just like, if the table is near me, then just put it on a different table, please.
You set up the partition, and the monopoly continues.
I have to get it out. Just set it up.
Just glaring at her as you strike the hammer. Fucking...
I've nearly finished it now.
What's the next one?
Okay.
I've only got one left.
Kids.
Oh, okay, yeah, I haven't thought of that.
This isn't often a problem, actually. I remember when we went to go see Doctor Strange, there was a kid who felt the need to narrate. And also kids running about the place can be an issue. But for the most part, like, I remember going to see, with Xavier, Life of Pi, and there was a woman in there with some kids, I think from a school, because she came up to us and said, look, I've got some... She came up to us, it was so surreal, and said, look, I've got some kids with me, but they should be all right, but if they start acting up, I'll take them out, okay? Oh. And I was like, okay, thanks for telling us. Look, I'll
take them out and kill every one of them.
Any of them. Seriously, look, here, take this knife. I'll say someone else did it and ran away. Honest. Just do what you need to do, okay? But they were fine. They didn't act up once.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, and I've gone to see films like Up,
Yeah.
Toy Story, and no complaints. For the most part, because cinema is such an immersive experience, I feel like kids tend to get into it. And my absolute favourite story involving a kid at the cinema, though, is Rogue One. Spoiler alert for Rogue One. Please skip ahead 30 seconds. Somebody dies. A lot of people die.
Yeah.
And this little girl says to her dad, next to me and Casey, just says, are they all dead? And he's like, no. I didn't hear the rest, but just nope.
Not needed.
Nope, still alive. Look, there they are.
Brilliant.
Oh, you missed them.
Look,
fine. That was just you going,
that wasn't.
Let's go buy you a toy.
He wants ice cream again.
Me.
My diabetes.
All right, well, the last one, and I think we all know what's coming. The single greatest threat to cinematic immersion of the modern era.
Jews.
Get rid of them, guys. Come on. Look, there's a book you should read. Anyway. It's phones, obviously. It's phones and modern those watches that you get, which is another irritating thing, like the smart watches and such, which come on
Apple
brightly coloured as soon as you
move
move
discs.
As soon as you move your pulse slightly.
Yeah, they come with motion sensors. Brilliant.
Lovely and distracting. Great. No chance. But yeah, phones.
Yes.
I mean, good lord, people. And I genuinely, again, have to come back to the idea that people just don't know how distracting it is. They think, oh, well, I've got the silencer on, I'm not speaking on it, therefore it's practically invisible.
Yes, it's been a long-standing thing, and it's very depressing and I think it's tweet-worthy when cinemas change the adverts to please silence your phone.
Yes, that is not okay. No. Yeah. Turn them off, put them away.
The silence isn't the only issue. It's the bright LED screen.
Yes.
That has been illuminates the entire cinema.
Yeah, I find just lights up the person's face and
stupid face.
Yeah, and I just make the sound effect in my head of phone.
It's very distracting. It's very detrimental to their cinema experience. Why the hell are you going to go to?
Why are you here?
Go to a cinema, pay the money.
Yeah,
because this isn't just Cineworld. You know, people pay money to go into the Curzon and then still take out their phone.
Yeah,
and you think, why are you? Why
are you here? Why have you decided to ruin this experience for yourself and others?
What I like about the cinema is the fact that I can go in there and I literally cannot turn on my phone because society within that phone forbids it. I always turn on my phone when I always check my phone in my living room, and I just can't. Yeah, I'm terribly easily distracted. In a cinema, it's perfect because it forbids it, and I have to pay attention to the big screen in front of me. So going in and doing that, it's like going in for an operation and getting hammered the night before. You just don't do it.
You don't do it. It's really irritating, and I just think one time I was expecting an important phone call from a plumber, I think, whilst I went to go see Phantom Thread. So what I did is I put my phone in my inside pocket against my sort of chest, and as soon as I felt it vibrating, I stood up, left the cinema, and took the call.
Yeah,
you know, that's what I did, so I didn't have to keep looking at it.
Yeah,
I mean, some people, it's extraordinary. I was in the new Jigsaw, I think it's called, the new Saw film, and I told a guy off for having his phone out, at which point he built a little tent for himself in the empty seat next to him so he could duck his head under his coat to check his phone. Just stop doing it. Just stop. Go away.
If you really have to keep checking your phone, why are you in the cinema? Why don't you have why don't you have that social filter? Why don't you have that social awareness that it might be the wrong thing to do or that it might annoy other people? My way of dealing with this is to stare at somebody until they put their phone away, and then if they do it a couple more times, then I have to say something. One time I remember I was watching Rango, I think, and this woman next to me was just checking cake recipes on her phone.
That's right, I remember this.
Yeah, through the trailers, and I thought, well, that's fine. She'll put it away. Like I have my phone out during trailers a lot of the time when I'm on my own. Just if I've seen all the trailers before. What really matters is when the film starts. It was 10 minutes in, and she was still checking her phone. And I leaned across and said, "Excuse me, can you please put your phone away? It's really distracting." And she was bemused to say, "Oh, I had no idea that constant use of my smartphone would impact on your viewing, despite the fact that I'm sitting next to you."
I had the same thing in Gifted. The guy was sat right in front of me, and I leant forward and was just like, "Could you put your phone away, please?" And he didn't do it for a while, so I leant forward and was like, "Seriously?" And he just said, "It's not your concern." And eventually he was doing it. Like he was very nonchalantly closing his business with the phone before he was going to put it away.
Yeah.
And it was just like, no, you've been asked. Put it away immediately because now you know it's irritating someone.
Yeah. It is my concern, actually.
Yeah. And on his way out, he glared at me and I just glared right back.
Yeah.
And actually in the lobby, Katie had timed it quite well. I don't think she had intended to say, who was that guy who had his phone out? And I was like, it's him, because he was walking past us at the time and I just pointed at him.
Oh, brilliant!
God.
But it is the most annoying thing.
It gets your blood going, though. It gets, because any sort of social interaction like that, which could be, you're criticizing another person, is what you're doing. You're criticizing a stranger for their behavior.
Yeah.
And that gets your blood going. It gets you tense. And you've got the sort of, should I do something? Should I not? Yeah. So now you're not thinking about the film. You're thinking about that. And you've got the adrenaline going that, you know, in case this escalates into conflict, which it might.
Yeah.
And all this stuff is going on. Your body is changing and you're just tensing up. And if you're not going to confront them, you might as well just leave because your experience is over.
Yeah.
You're not going to be able to put this out of your mind. You mentioned staring at people. What I do is put my hand up very obviously.
I've seen
I'll
that.
hold my hand up in front of the screen. And sometimes people notice and put it away. Sometimes they don't. Maybe they think that's a good solution for me.
Oh, brilliant.
Oh, he's all right. He's got his hand up.
He's taking care of this.
But yeah, the problem is, and as you mentioned, some of those signs have come down now, the signs that say, please put your phone away. And the worry is, because AMC, the American cinema chain, once announced that you are allowed to use your phones in cinemas. And there was a massive backlash. And they rescinded. They took the rule away.
Yeah.
But my worry is that some cinemas are doing this more stealthily, that they think, well, look, attendance is an issue. Maybe we can get more people in if we let them use their phones. Maybe that's why people aren't coming. And it's like, no. Some people have suggested phone-only screenings. I don't know.
I mean, if that is the case, only have one a day.
Yeah.
Don't make it a regular thing. Don't make it easy for people. Don't make it like, oh, it's perfectly fine. But like, if you're going to do it, then you have to come to this one showing so that everyone else can enjoy the film without having to go out of their way to do so. Yeah, you're the interloper.
Worry
here,
about you.
Friend.
We're not going to make adjustments for you.
Yeah.
One solution I thought they could have, which would be really quite good, is having a whole bunch of charging stations outside. Like the ones you get in stations where you put your phone in, plug it in, and then you get a key, like a swimming pool locker. You can come back and collect it later.
Yeah.
Have a whole bunch in the cinema lobby, encouraging people to leave their phone there on charge.
The cinema would have to take full responsibility for the phones, though. I think you can't.
Well, stations do it. Shopping centres do it. Like you see these things around. There's one in Westfield. You just take a key like a swimming pool.
Yeah.
And, swimming pools do it because people put their phones in there. They're not going to swim.
Yeah, true.
Although with the new Galaxy S8, you could
unlock a physical lock with our new app.
Have it your phone.
Have it your Kim Jong-un. These, it could be. I think people are very reluctant to part with their phones, though.
Yeah.
If you lose your phone, end of the world, mate.
Yeah, true.
It's a difficult one. I really liked they showed a short film at the beginning of every Myth.
Oh yeah.
Showing.
Lovely.
Which was this guy goes to heaven. And he's met by Saint Peter, who's just a sort of fat Australian bloke, and which he is, as we all know.
Yes, he will be.
He's going. Oh, it turns out, mate, you're going straight to hell. And he goes, what did I do? What didn't you do, mate? Texting your girlfriend whilst driving, FaceTiming your sister with your hands off the wheel. And it transpires that's how he dies. And he goes, well, tell you what, Saint Peter's a good guy. He's gonna give you one more chance. Okay, but this time, and then he turns to the screen and goes, turn off your phone!
That's great.
That gets the message across, I think.
Yeah. You know what I worry about is often they put the message up in text. Like the message will come up in text saying the light from your phone is distracting. And it's like, if they're looking at their phone, they're not seeing what you've put up there. Say it out loud.
Yeah. You just get a big fat Australian bloke to shout, turn off your phone. It's not even that fat. That's more than you say about it. It's a terrible thing. It instantly ruins someone's experience. Don't blooming well do it. You
ne'er-do-wells.
Yeah, you gutter snipes.
You literally never do wells.
Yeah. Anymore. Johnny phone a lot. Yeah, it's the most barbaric thing you can do at a cinema, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. It's a really horrible thing to do, and I think genuinely a lot of people don't realize it's a bad thing to do, but some do, and those are the worst scum of all. Now, let's talk about good stuff. Reasons to go. We've mentioned it a few times, but surely the number one advantage of the cinema is immersion.
Yes.
You leave your phone behind, in theory. You leave your Facebook behind. You leave your life behind, and you just, in a living room, there's so much visual distraction.
Yeah.
Unless you've managed to move everything out of there and just had a pitch black room. There's something so isolating about the cinema in a good way that allows you to just be a clean slate for whatever this experience is. That's what's so horrible about all of these things we've mentioned, is it's people suddenly saying, hey, look at me, in the middle of this great big empty space. And that's what's so irritating about it, and why it's more irritating than if any of these were done on the tube, for example. Yeah,
like, imagine Keith Chegwin's face appearing in the resurrection sequence in 2001: A Space Odyssey. It's that level of taking you out the moment.
But the great advantage that the cinema has over the lounge is that it has that level of immersion. Also, the picture and sound quality.
Oh yeah.
I mean, there's just so many things that could go wrong with your home theatre setup. My mother has a very new television, and we went to watch The Last Jedi on it.
Oh yeah.
And right from the off, it was just, there's something really horribly wrong with this. It's full of women and Asians, and they've ruined Luke Skywalker. What happened? Seriously, the image was jerky. Even as it panned like down to the planet, it was just like bump, 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 as like the image was moving. And it turned out there was some motion smoothing option that had been set to yes. And Googling it, a lot of people experience this, that new televisions get sold with preset features that make films unwatchable on them. And you have to turn them off.
Well, you got to make room for Love Island.
Love Island looks great on this system.
Oh, God.
Lawrence of Arabia, hot garbage.
Yeah, look at those butts, though. Look at those island butts.
Those tanned island butts.
You're never gonna recreate the majesty of seeing something in IMAX or whatever the latest surround sound system is, Dolby.
Yeah,
whatever Dolby you've got going on right now.
Get as close as you like to that screen. You can have as many speaker systems as you like. That's just going to irritate the neighbours more than anything else.
But the atmosphere as well, sharing a room with a couple of hundred other people who adore the film that you're watching.
Definitely the audience.
Really make a showing.
Having people laugh along with the bits that you like. And, and it doesn't take a very big room for that to happen. I went and saw I went and saw The Avengers, the 2012 Avengers, with a room with about 5 of us in it. But we were still laughing out loud because of how funny it was. And it's such a lovely sense of communion that you have in that space with strangers. And when you're all on the same page, gasping or cheering. Like, I went to see Black Panther with a room full of very excitable people, like super. It was a preview. It was an advanced preview, so we were seeing it before the rest of the UK. So it was ultra Marvel fans in there, and people were so happy. Like, when things happened, people would cheer and whoop, and it's like this. This is what it's about.
Wow.
This
absolutely.
is exactly why you need to do this. The only other thing I'd say is scale. There's something to the scale of the thing, and I recently saw The Dark Knight again at IMAX, and as soon as the opening shot comes up, which takes up the full IMAX screen, it's the opening establishing shot of Gotham. Yeah. People, you could hear them laughing in wonder and looking at the size of this screen. It's stunning. Whenever I go see a David Lean film at the cinema, I realize this is the only way you should be experiencing these films.
Yeah.
The majesty of the big screen. Same for Sergio Leone.
Yeah, the first thing that comes to mind actually is The Last Jedi, the light speed crash.
Oh god,
the silence, the awed silence that happens after that, and then eventual nervous and giddy laughter at what we're seeing.
Yeah,
it's moments like that just it makes you feel like you're watching something really special and experiencing it with a whole bunch of other people.
And I remember you and I went to go see Barry Lyndon. The Kubrick film, and that had a big impact on you. Like, there's an intermission in that, during which you turned and said that just this makes me want to do much more of this, like see classic films on the big screen. It has that. You'll never see a film properly until you see it on the big screen. Really,
no, it changes everything. It really does.
And I wanted to mention Quentin Tarantino and The Hateful Eight, a film that I had problems with. Ironically, because I found it a little too hateful. Just a sympathetic character who doesn't get their brains blown out would have been lovely.
Yeah.
But just one.
Just one, Quentin.
Nevertheless, the things that Tarantino does, because he made this in 70mm, which is the same sort of aspect ratio that, Nolan is making Interstellar in and, such. And a lot of people said, well, why are you doing 70mm when most of your story takes place in a single hut? But Tarantino takes that massive lens size, that massive sort of screen size, and uses it to stage these really great. I mean, technically, it might be his best film, purely from the technical bravura that he has. Yes. The way he's able to layer shots and have genuinely 3D without 3D technology, 3D shots where there's action in the background and the foreground, and people are moving between the two, and there's different scenes developing. He uses the size of the screen masterfully, and again, you just can't appreciate that on the little screen.
It really doesn't compare. And when I see people watching films on their phone, it just boggles my mind.
Yes, well, Werner Herzog spoke out against that quite memorably. It's just you're not having an experience.
I can't see the point. I don't even like watching them on my laptop.
Yeah,
so much that a bigger screen reveals, and when it's intended for the cinema.
Yeah,
think of what you're going to miss when you try for anything else.
Absolutely. Let's do our top 5 favourite cinema moments.
Okay.
So, these aren't necessarily the best films we've seen at the cinema, Far from it in some of my cases, but
Okay, cool.
rather significant moments that have really spelt out the magic of cinema to us. So, do you get a lead?
Sure. My number 5 is Deathly Hallows 2.
Ooh.
I saw this on a weekday morning just after it had come out on my own in the cinema. I was literally the only person in this massive cinema screen. Nothing special about the cinema. It's just me on my own watching a film I actually really enjoyed. It's like a still fairly fresh thing for me in Harry Potter movies. And I just had all the time and space in the world to be by myself and
Oh, man.
and watch the film. It's great.
Being on your own in a screen is its own kind of magic. I didn't have room for it in
Yeah.
here, but me and Katie went to go see Tully, the new Jason Reitman film.
Oh yeah.
And it was great. We were all on our own, completely alone. So we actually were able to just speak to each other at a regular volume of just what do you think is happening here? And not in a distracting
Feel a bit
way.
naughty.
Yeah, there's an excitement to it. It's like there's
Look at us.
there's a naughtiness to
Yeah.
it of just being able to just talk, and having this whole
Yeah.
place to ourselves to just stretch out. And I took my shoes off, which I do sometimes do in cinemas. And
Oh yeah, you got to do that.
you got to do that. I just stretched out and just felt great. You got to love an empty cinema. My number 5, I'm actually starting with the one that kicked it all off. The first film I went and saw at the cinema.
Oh.
It was at the Maney Corner Odeon in Sutton Coldfield. We were staying with my nan in Birmingham. Mama and Dad brought me to see Aladdin. And
cool.
we showed up a little late. There was no one in the lobby. I remember this. It was very empty. And the guy behind the counter came out and reassured us the film hadn't started yet. And he gave me some stickers. And the only thing I remember from the actual screening is I really vividly remember my experience of the shot where Aladdin has been transported into the desert after Jafar gets the lamp. And there's a big tower that's fallen on its side and is rolling towards him. And he's running because he can see there's a window that's open on the tower that's rolling towards him. And he wants to get to the point where the window is going to roll over him.
Oh yeah, yeah.
It's a Buster Keaton gag, but I really vividly remember watching that. And yeah, that's really my only memory of the actual film. But
Oh cool.
my very first one. So I felt like I should make note.
Yeah, great. That trick was done a lot better in Steel, though. I think you remember.
Yes, it was with the train.
Number 4 is Return of the King.
Nice.
I waited so long for it. I'd seen the same trailer hundreds of times.
Yeah.
And not only was it everything I could have hoped for, it looked absolutely incredible on the big screen. I spent most of it in tears, and this is where the sight and sound really comes into its own. We've talked about how amazing the score is before, especially the leitmotif for the different factions.
Yes.
Particularly the finale for the Rohan.
Oh, beautiful.
Leitmotif with the Ride of the Rohirrim. Just such a beautiful send-off in terms of the music, but I think that footage of charging horses is cinema history.
Yeah.
Everything came together, and it was one of those films where I don't remember anything else happening around me. I was hooked for the entire three movies. 3 hours, sorry.
Just felt like 3 movies.
Yeah. End already, before we wrapped up everything with all the characters. I just came out of the cinema cleansed.
My number 4 is a bit of an odd one. I went to Cannes this year, and I was really nervous about it. In addition to this sort of language barrier, it's the most prestigious film festival in the world by general agreement. And I was very intimidated about being there. There's a hierarchy system there, and I had the lowest badge in the hierarchy, so I thought, I'd read numerous articles that basically said, we hope you like your Airbnb, because that's all you're going to be seeing. And, I just prepared myself for a miserable time of just standing in line and not seeing any films. I was pretty upset. But the first film I queued up for was a film called Le Grand Bain. It was a story about 4 middle-aged guys. It's a true story of 4 middle-aged guys who decide to take up synchronized swimming and end up winning a big contest. It has in it that guy who was in the Forbidden Room, and he was also the bad guy in Quantum of Solace.
Mathieu Amalric.
That's it, Mathieu Amalric. He was the main old guy. So that was the film. I didn't even know that was the film. I just queued up for the screening in the Salle de Brunel of Cannes, the Palais de Festival, and I got in. And there were loads of seats, and I just took one, and I just remember relaxing so much and just thinking, thank God I made it in. This experience is not going to be that bad. And the film, now all I'm in is a cinema. I'm in my element. I'm just in a cinema. I'm about to watch a film. I know how to critique a film. I know how to write about a film. It's not some deeply troubling Godard film that no one's going to understand except someone who's thoroughly torn the heart out of At Long Last Love back in 1975. I'm in my element, and I just felt like I'm never going to feel like I'm out of my element again in this job, because I made it at Cannes, and I made it work. And it's not quite accurate, because at some point there's a possibility I'll be sat in a room with Nicolas Cage, and I'll have to try and make something happen. If that happens, nothing prepares you for that.
No, mate, you might be in the same city as Udo Kier.
No!
Never.
I told my editor when I took this job, I've got the app, the Kia watch. The Udo watch.
#1 on iTunes at the moment. It's going to be #1 forever, they said.
Udo Kier just keeps rocking up to ghost cities when no one's there. It's like... What is this?
Oh, okay. My number 3 is a very recent one. Avengers Infinity War.
Ooh.
I've never had a crowd who are so into every single moment of a film.
Marvel does that.
People were cheering, laughing, whooping, crying out when the bad things happened.
Yeah,
groping their faces in agony, and then with the reveal at the post credit sequence, somebody literally got up out of their chair and went, "Yes!" So every last thing made me feel like I was doing the perfect thing in that moment. Everything worked amazingly. It was great.
God. And I think that's the kind of experience people are missing out on when they talk about Marvel as this terrible thing. It's like, it's good to have something that can just unambiguously bring people together.
Yeah.
Seeing as for some reason that can't be The Last Jedi at the moment, then it's nice that things like Infinity War and, Civil War, I remember a similar reaction. Like, the guy next to me in Civil War at the very end, where it says, Spider-Man will return. The guy next to me goes, yes, return!
That was the key word in that sentence.
Yes, I like that bit.
Oh.
My number 3 is an experience I had back in 2008. And I had recently discovered the BFI South Bank, a cinema in London that shows a lot of very old films. And I went and saw The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly there, the Sergio Leone masterpiece. And it was really there that cemented for me the idea that you haven't seen a film until you've seen it with a crowd.
Yeah.
Because people were laughing with it, just having a great time. And, being shocked by it in places. And it was like the first time I saw it, even though I'd seen it a dozen times as a teenager. It was incredible.
Oh, great. Something I don't think I've seen in the cinema, but yeah, I can just imagine. I can imagine, Paul. I don't need cinema.
And the sweeping vistas, of course.
Oh, of course,
gorgeous. Yeah. And that great first shot where it's a sweeping vista and then just some ugly looking, a guy with a really rough face just steps into shot and fills up this entire massive screen.
Great.
Loved it.
With that soundtrack coming out in a dark cinema.
Oh, Morricone.
All right, so we've got this. We've got remarkably similar number 2s and 1s. So
yes, I'll be interested because all we've shared is that we were both at number 2 and 1. You may have noticed that the previous 3 neither of us attended. I'm pretty confident that this first one we do not have in common. But sir, what is your number 2?
Well, my number 2 is Inception.
Okay, that's fine.
Okay. Inception in itself is an amazing, incredible film.
Yes.
It helped maybe because the publicity revealed almost nothing of the plot, really.
Yes.
For the last hour of the film, I don't think I took a breath. Come the end, that collective gasp when the credits hit. It just summed everything up perfectly. But what I remember about it most, I think whenever we're in a cinema and we're watching something that is incredibly great, we tend to just laugh at how good things are.
Yes.
It's like our heads would explode if we tried to do anything else. So I just have these really great memories of just looking at you laughing because the film was an absolute total. I'm trying to think of a way of doing this without swearing. it really messed with my mind.
Yeah, it was a mind blower. It changed everything. And I remember that summer going to see it several more times with you a couple of times. We took Tom to go see it at the Greenwich Picture House.
Yeah.
And I just very acutely remember the feeling that I didn't want to watch anything that wasn't Inception.
Yeah.
I couldn't stand the idea of studio logos coming up and not having that tremendous weight of, bwam, 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 bwam. It's like, this isn't a film. It's not cinema. Only Inception is cinema.
And it's another one where, again, visual and audio together, just they're sort of as much a part of me as my heartbeat. Again, just another example of everything about it coming together to just stab its way into my face.
Definitely. Now, my number 2, and I was fairly confident this wasn't going to be on your list based on an earlier remark. It's when we went to go see Con Air and Face Off at the Prince Charles Cinema.
Ah,
because yes, people did laugh too much during Face Off, but in general, I really felt like we were in tune with that audience, especially during Con Air.
Oh,
it was just blissful, just to be there with a room full of people who love these movies. And I think the main problem with Face Off is that people are laughing at some very sincere moments, because Face Off is a legitimately good film. It's not so bad it's good.
Yeah.
It's legitimately great. Con Air is more cheesy and ironically good, with its John Malkovich monologues and just crazy stuff. And Nicolas Cage with his locks blowing in the wind.
Yeah.
Just gorgeous.
Yeah. There can definitely be the right crowd experience at the Prince Charles Cinema. I mean, that leads me on to my number 1, which is a Prince Charles one.
Oh, well, hold on, let me think. What have we done with the Prince Charles? Oh, Enter the Void.
You are correct, sir. Good. 10 points to you.
Yeah.
I had to choose this out of 3 other times that I've saw a film that I've always wanted to see at the cinema. One of them was Face Off.
Lovely.
The other was The Royal Tenenbaums.
Oh, that was great.
The other was 2001: A Space Odyssey.
Yeah.
All really incredible movies. It's just 2001 and Royal Tenenbaums, especially seeing them for the first time at the cinema, opened up everything.
I felt like I'd seen Royal Tenenbaums for the first time when we saw it at the Prince Charles.
It was one of those moments where you realise, yes, this was what was intended. Only with the cinema are you able to see everything that Wes Anderson is putting on screen in this film to make it look like a novel.
Yeah,
but it just in the things that you take in these single shots.
Yeah,
but it has to be Into the Void. Nothing quite captivates like Enter the Void on the big screen. The sort of the drifting, the sometimes sleepy cinematics, the sometimes really sort of garish, violent neon. Gaspar Noe for me is one of the ultimate sort of cinematic experiences. Just him, just walking around. Other than
just explosions going off near his head.
Other than Love, every other film of his is just perfect for cinema. It has to be seen in the cinema. My experience of Enter the Void was liking it, was thinking it was a solid film. I saw it again and went, this is a brilliant film. After the cinema, it became one of my favourite films. And we went with 2 other people, Mike and Xavier. Neither of whom had seen it. And I was concerned for the first watch. I thought, maybe as a first watch, it's not as effective. But they came out having absolutely adored it.
Yeah. I had a head cold when I went to see it. I was really ill. And I felt dead coming out, but in a good way.
Yeah.
I mean, Noe has that effect. My review of Climax, his most recent film, I wanted my review to just be, don't go see it, 5 stars. It's that kind of experience.
Absolutely, but better to watch it in a cinema than at home to properly get across every horrible emotion he's trying to convey to you.
And all just the wonder and the scale of it, I think. And scale is very important in my number 1. And let's see if you can guess it. It is a BFI IMAX experience that we did have together.
Ooh. Is it Force Awakens?
No.
Is it The Dark Knight or The Dark Knight Rises?
Close. We went, it was December, 2011. And you, me, and Xavier, and I think it was...
The all-nighter?
Nope, not an all-nighter.
Ah.
We saw the Batman all-nighter. That was really fun when we did that. That was because Dark Knight Rises hadn't been out yet, so it was Batman Returns, Batman Begins, and The Dark Knight. That was a great night. No, December 2011. It was Mission Impossible Ghost Protocol, featuring the first 6 minutes of The Dark Knight Rises.
Yes, okay.
And it might sound very silly, but first of all, those 6 minutes, I don't think I've ever been as excited about The Dark Knight Rises as anything else. And as you may have heard in a previous podcast, I feel it lived up to that hype. I absolutely adored that film. But yeah, just the idea of seeing a little bit of it before everyone else, and the 6 minutes they showed was the plane heist. One of the most extraordinary moments ever, action scenes ever put to cinema. Yeah.
No, it's not the time for fear.
Yes, I couldn't hear a word Bane said because that was before, based on the reception of that 6 minutes, Nolan went and re-edited it so that you could hear what was happening. And there's actually a YouTube video of before and after he changed it. And yeah, it's good. It's good that he did.
Yeah.
But even
thanks for that.
Even before, you could just get the atmosphere of Bane. You could just tell he's an exciting character, and I want to see more of him.
Yeah.
I want to hear more of him as well, specifically. But
Please.
The idea of just jacking a plane and then just lifting someone out of a plane with another plane.
Yeah.
I just remember thinking, God, he did it. He topped the bank heist. How could he possibly have done that? But he's done it. He's made something more riveting, more extraordinary. And it's not quite. The bank heist is still so perfect, but it's pretty close to being as thrilling.
Yeah.
So everything about that was incredible. And then Ghost Protocol. One of the most fun and genuinely entertaining action movies of the past, of this century, really, so far. And I just remember the shots of the Burj Khalifa on that massive IMAX screen, and I think we were in like the third row. Yeah. And just as it panned over and sort of leant down, we all suddenly felt this horrible vertigo.
I almost fell out of my chair when that happened.
And it was just a grippingly entertaining film, a perfect Christmas film. Yeah. Because it was uncomplicatedly an adventure, like Indiana Jones. It was just good fun. And I just remember a great feeling of being absolutely and truly in love with the cinema walking out of there. Yeah. And just, this great feeling of well-being attached to that experience. And not only a huge satisfaction at what we had just experienced, but a great excitement for The Dark Knight Rises ahead. And just being really happy with the state of cinema.
Awesome. Well, we did ask the OG today.
Yes!
For some input of their own about cinema, good and bad. What is it? We don't know. Let's ask them.
Let's find out. Together, as an OG team.
Okay, we're back after asking a question. And, had quite a lot of input from this one. Thanks, everyone.
Yay.
So, Mike J. Murphy says, saw Batman vs. Superman, Dawn of Justice, parenthesis, I know, and when the big, dreary CGI fight started towards the end, an actual fight broke out in the front row. No idea what started it. One woman shouted, "The children! You have children with you!" But it was a far more interesting conflict than the one on screen.
I'm imagining that in a very... I don't know the nationality of... what was his name?
Mike. He's Irish but lives in London.
Oh, okay. So in that case, it really conforms to my expectations that it was a really rubbish... you do know you've got children with you, don't you? Excuse me.
Okay.
I'm in a fight. I'm in a fight.
Hold my crisp so I can do a fight.
Oh, my crisp, son.
Mike Murphy continues. Saw Loving in the same cinema, and halfway through, the doors opened and some prick shouted, "Bomb!" and then ran away. Lots of people left after that. Some were crying, which is a shame because it's a pretty good film.
Oh, man.
Pretty unnerving, to be fair.
I never saw that. That was the one about the interracial couple, right? By a really good director whose name has slipped out of my head.
Yeah.
Because I mix it up with Love, the Gaspar Noe experience.
Yeah. Not the same.
Oh, God.
Not the same, apparently.
What a shame, though. What a horrible experience to happen, because I would feel unnerved by that. Oh, it's Jeff Nichols, the director of Take Shelter.
Yeah, Jeff Nichols.
Midnight Special. Why haven't I seen this?
Admit One Movies podcast. He says, I remember watching T2. So is that Trainspotting 2 or Terminator 2? Because they're both called T2.
True.
Oof.
Uh-oh. It's going to be very
Either
important.
Way, that's not the important thing.
Yeah.
He was in there watching either Trainspotting 2 or Terminator 2 in Gloucester's New Odeon when the fire door was cracked open and 3 kids on BMXs started riding around.
Just riding around. Film twats. That's ridiculous.
Oh, man.
I remember the first time I went to go see The Dark Knight at the IMAX. I'd already seen it once in a regular cinema. And the fire alarm kept going off, and we had to keep leaving the entire cinema at the BFI IMAX and standing outside. It happened about 3 times.
God damn.
I can't believe that slipped my mind till now, and that was my first time at the BFI IMAX.
That's not good for ambience, is it?
Not really. It was Christopher Nolan pulling the alarm, though. Imagine the combined experience.
Can you imagine?
of my immersive film, The Dark Knight, with a cold London street. Take it away, fire alarm.
Hans Zimmer on the fire alarm, everyone.
Thank you.
He's got a little hammer. All right, Katie at Katie Maiden. Hello. She said,
Hey.
Had a bad/good experience watching the first Tron movie. The first Tron movie?
Yeah, by first, I don't know if she means like a late reshowing of Tron 82 or Tron Legacy, which is the last Tron movie. But anyway, let's hear what she has to say.
She'll abuse us on WhatsApp for that later.
Good.
These youths wouldn't stop talking, and after being asked, they didn't stop. So the guy I was with went and told the Cineworld, and they were told off, and I think they even left. Ruined 30 minutes of the movie, though. Video negative. For your noggin. The Video Negative podcast. They're really, really good. You don't even want to know what they talk about. Video Negative, Ollie says, worst. It's on opening night. Great film, but a miserable viewing experience.
Oh, no.
Row after row of talkers. People laughing at the scary bits. Drunk spinsters. Wow. People mocked.
Great.
Did they announce it?
Please welcome the Leighton Stone Drunk Spinsters. Ba-ba-da-ba.
This song's all about us. People mocked for asking people to be quiet.
Oh, God. That's very
rough.
aggravating.
That's awful. The one guy yakking on his phone through Creed. Jesus.
Oh, my God.
And Scott Pilgrim vs. the World. Fuck that film. You're wrong, Oliver.
No. Great film.
Get out! False parts. Yeah. Great. It's late. False starts podcasts say, reply, people laughing during scary, tense or disturbing bits. I hate that. I get laughter as a reaction some people have when they're nervous, but it takes me right out of the film. I'm very sorry if we had to share a cinema at any point.
Yeah. A nervous laugh.
Sometimes that happens.
I quite like a nervous laugh after a scary bit. I like... Yeah, it's an immediate way... I like experiences where an audience reacts immediately, such as a comedy where people laugh. Although it's very aggravating when you're the only one not laughing.
Yeah.
In any situation. But in a horror, I like a little bit of a, oh, fuck. You know, just a little surprise.
My laughter is usually silent or very, very quiet because I'm just going, I can't do this anymore. What's coming next?
Do you know what?
Please don't take out the turkey baster full of semen.
Oh,
Stephen Lang.
I've had a problem with...
You've got a film to shoot. Oh, yeah.
Oh, you. I've had a problem that my laugh isn't very loud before, in as much as I've been with someone, and I want them to know, because we're both looking at the screen, I want them to know that I'm laughing at the bit as well. My laugh isn't loud enough. And so I worry that they think I've just sat there like, do you remember... Do you remember in Burn After Reading, Frances McDormand has gone with a date to a comedy film, and she's laughing, and she looks over, and the guy's just like staring at the screen as if he was watching his own face fall apart.
Yeah.
I worry they're going to think that's what I'm doing.
And when you aren't, that's not what you want.
I want to be George Clooney in that situation.
Well, you're not.
And all the others.
So, you're dead Brad Pitt.
Spoilers.
Oh, God. Okay, Video Negative continues.
Oh,
Best... And doing good things. Best Dawn of the Dead with Goblin doing a live soundtrack.
Holy crap, that must have been amazing.
Holy balls.
I assume the original. It wasn't Goblin rescoring the remake. Take this, Tyler Bates.
Zombie. Nice one, Tyler Bates. You really cut that song well. A month-long John Carpenter season with introductions by JC himself.
Oh, wow.
Jesus Christ came back for the Halloween.
And the thing you need to note about The Fog, my children, is this really sick shot of Jamie Lee Curtis. There's total side boob. It's amazing. It's not what I expected, you know.
Oh, blessed be the meek.
Blessed be the meek, for they have outrageous boobs. I don't like Jesus.
Rear Window, the audience gasping as Thorwald approaches the door while Lisa investigates his apartment.
Brilliant.
That. And Four Lions opening night, fuck Minnie Babybel. And I've got to say, we had a fantastic Four Lions experience. We watched it with an old history lecturer of ours.
Yeah.
And his girlfriend.
A young man history lecturer. Who brought us there? Coolest guy you've ever met.
Who appreciates his privacy, so we'll call him John F. Kennedy.
Randy Man
Gand. Ravin
Glands.
That'll do it. And it
was great.
I think I was in hysterics. I don't know if it was just his presence and his intimidatingly beautiful partner.
Yes. Who laughed hysterically at the moment when a sheep gets killed.
Yeah.
For way longer than everyone else was laughing.
That was great.
Well, it's a bit of a shame because he brought his his unimaginably gorgeous girlfriend to the final day of exams. And just broke everybody's hearts. Everyone who'd been daydreaming about him for 3 years of lecturing. It's like, hey, this is what you needed to be. And I was like, oh.
None of us can be that.
That, pointing at her face.
whatever this is.
Can't beat this.
Video Negative continues with one more. Another highlight. Brain Dead late night Halloween screening. Oh my god.
Ooh.
Packed house,
Yeah,
cheesy
stuff.
video nasty trailers to set the mood beforehand and a game rabid crowd. A lot of fun. I can imagine that being a lot of fun.
Yeah, there's a lot of moments to laugh there. That's
Bloody
good.
hell.
That's great.
Your mother ate my dog. Not all of it.
Your mother ate my dog? You know, there's a lot of stuff I just don't have the energy for anymore. I don't feel like I'm better placed now than any time in my life to go see a midnight screening. I live in Lewisham. I can get a night bus home in like half an hour. The last time I stayed up very late for a film was when you and I... It wasn't even my choice. Our friend Xavier had gotten tickets to The Force Awakens at the BFI IMAX. But the only time he could get tickets was at 5 a.m. So we contrived a plan to stay up all night. We went and saw Krampus.
We did, which is excellent.
Did we see another film? Or did we just walk around for 4 hours? Because that started at 11,
Yes,
film.
I feel like we walked around, we drank a lot of coffee, and I ate a lot of ice cream.
Yes, and then, at 5 a.m, we were finally ready for this thing. It was, and it was really not ideal. I think it was kind of the point where we all realised we're not young enough to do this anymore.
Yeah.
I think Inception was an early morning thing as well, because I remember I got home from Inception at the BFI IMAX, rounded up my family, and took them out to the cinema again to go see it at the Odeon. It's the only time I've seen a film like less than 6 hours after I last saw the film at the cinema. Any more?
Yes, indeed.
Yay.
Jen Blundell. Hello.
There's a Jen.
It's worst, watching Christmas with the Cranks. I know, I was young and foolish, while smelly children ran amok unchecked. And best, watching Dark Knight amid hearing the whole room gasp in unison at the truck, the pencil, etc. Saw it 5 times at the cinema. It was that cool an experience.
The pencil.
God, that pencil.
It gets up to a world of business.
It's a special trick. Pencils have got a bit of a resurgence after that, I think, in cinema.
Because of John Wick.
Heath Ledger first, and Christopher Nolan went, damn. Not Christopher Nolan, whoever directed John Wick. John Wick, the director.
I'll make a film and call it after me. It's going to be about all the things I can do. Like kill a guy with a pencil. You can't do that.
Oh, yeah?
Get over it.
No, I won't.
Oh.
Compass presents. Creators of expanded cinema experiences and interactive encounters, bringers of the Compass tent at Shambhala Fest in Bristol. Oh,
very interesting.
Last year, we did a screening of Life Aquatic on the masts of a huge ship. This year, Holy Grail
wow.
with live audience Foley. Foley Grail. At the minnow. Gosh, I want to be
great.
Bristol now.
It's worth mentioning, I've done some open air screenings, screenings just on roofs and like roofs of pubs and things like that, and it's always added something. I've really loved it, actually. It only runs during the summer, of course, where it's warm enough. But I've seen yeah, exactly. I've seen well, no guarantee. I saw Highlander in the middle of Shoreditch, and in Stratford I've seen Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind and Inception, and all 3 of those were amazing experiences. Just
I bet.
having the city around you and like planes overhead, it just adds something. All 3 of those are sort of very city-based or high-tech or sci-fi, and it's just, there's some wonderful aspect to it.
Okay, so the final one from Full Starts podcast is more of a story, and I feel like it's a nice one to end on. Because it's not positive at all, and it's completely at odds with our entire mission statement.
Yay!
Okay. Full Starts podcast, who appeared on the latest episode of Filmily Fortunes, and you should definitely be checked out, said, a lot of these I've already discussed on the podcast, but out of the big 3 UK chains, one of them gives an awful experience almost exclusively. Be it lack of care or the audience, late night screening of Hotel Artemis where the audio was almost unintelligible at points, the lack of screen masking, how hard is it to have a couple of curtains at the side, big black bars are horrible and makes the projectionist seem incompetent, rush screenings resulting in incorrect poor brightness, polarizing filters left on, out of focus images, good job it's a cheap night out, oh wait. The audiences, especially at some of the ones we attend as a group, are awful. Texting in the front row. If you're going to text, either fuck off or sit at the back. Luckily enough, where Lewis lives, it's mostly smaller indie cinemas. 3 to 4 screens max. Actual care. Reasonable price. And quiet. No one goes to them. Working in the chains has its ups and downs. Free tickets, half-price food. But the clientele again, Jesus, the mess they can make. Not just food. We're talking bodily fluids of all kinds.
Oh,
needles, you name it. Someone at work found it at some point. Also, the popcorn comes in bin bags, bag-sized bags, and costs like 7p.
Yeah.
So...
It is insane the mess people can make. I've gone to I've walked past other people's seats. I take a bottle of water and maybe a packet of minstrels in, and I always take them with me. Well, at the very least, leave the packet of minstrels curled up in the cup rest so that it's easily retrieved. I've walked past seats where it looks like someone just did a weekly shop and then ate it in that seat, or half ate it, and just dropped the containers where they lay.
Clean up after yourself. What's wrong with you? Needles. You go to watch a film.
Oh god.
And just jacks heroin into their veins.
Oh my god, this is gonna make Ant-Man and Wasp so good. Do it, Paul Rudd. Do your business.
God, thanks, OG Ty.
Thanks, OG Ty. Good stuff.
It's a good one.
So let's conclude a little bit. I think the thing about the cinema is just that it is this extraordinary experience. It's unrivaled for me. There's a communal aspect to it, in as much as it is similar to taking communion, in its nature. It's almost a religious experience going to the cinema, being together with a whole bunch of people as you experience sort of fables and myths together, to great effect. And Christopher Nolan said something like that after Aurora. He said it's as if someone has attacked my church, and it's. I don't know if he meant where people worship him, although that's certainly my experience of going to the cinemas. But it's a sacred place, and don't drag your profanities into it or your sacrilege.
Yeah, barbarisms.
Okay, where can people find out about the One Good Thing?
Facebook and Twitter. You can get in touch. otpod@gmail.com. You can find the podcast on iTunes, Stitcher, Podbean, and YouTube, including some clips that are still going up. That's all that is. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, listener. I'm Paul Salt.
I'm Paul Goodman.
And remember, the one good thing about the cinema makes it worth all the bad stuff.